I can sit here and watch the world go around, or I can go and get a scotch or something like that.
Right, we are on, mate. We are on. How are you doing?
Happy days, mate. Yeah, look, got a couple of going in the right direction. That's pretty
Well
cool, I
done.
suppose. This early in the month, so
Yeah.
no grimaces on the face. It's kind of still a mystery to me as to why the Aussie is hovering around 70 cents instead of 65. But I guess that just gives me a better price to sell it.
What was there something last night that happened?
Not after I went to bed. No.
No,
No.
there was no. When's the interest rate announcement? I'm
Oh,
check
you
that out.
you mean the interest? Yeah, that was today.
That was today.
That
Okay, and where we
that
at?
was that's a couple of hours ago, and as expected, they did reduce the interest rate to 1.25%,
Right.
and the accompanying statement. Oh, look, I'd have to rate it neutral, to be absolutely honest. A little bit of caution, I suppose, but a little bit of bravado in there as well. It was kind of a Reserve Bank governor staving off defeat, the way I read it. It was he was trying to make a silk purse out of a cow's ear, if I can put it that way.
Right.
So, in my opinion, that I guess is dovish in some ways, but it doesn't read that way, if you know what I mean. You have to read between the lines, in my humble opinion, to get
Yeah.
anything out of that statement. And that's often the case with Reserve Bank governors, of course. But nothing there to change my mind, mate. I still have to be bearish, the Aussie, and I know it keeps rallying, but to my mind, I just don't understand why.
Yeah. Well, it is a weird thing, isn't it? I mean, this is one where the stats are actually working out so far, aren't they? I mean, we sort of talked
Yep,
about the
yep.
stats of this one, and actually, the only thing with it, I suppose, is the monthly chart is very, very low, and maybe that is because things are just starting to get priced in. Maybe it's just a heading to the upside, just to test some levels. I mean, I don't know, but things are. I do see that, according to indicators, the Aussie has been steadily kind of weakening. I'll bring it onto a chart just so we can have a look at it. But it looks like, let's show my screen. Oh, I need my pivots, don't I? So I need my RSI actually. So if I bring up a daily chart and just bring up the RSI with it. Sorry, not a daily, a monthly. Just bringing up this monthly chart here. This seems to be an area where there was a significant move down, and we got into oversold territory down here, and this time round, obviously this is a hugely deep decline. We're really sort of like talking about from this point to this point. This point to this point seems to be weakening, and this is one of those things that again, we always sort of talk about Elliott waves, and it looks like wave 1, wave 2, and wave 3. And wave 3 might be just kind of starting to come to a halt. Potentially, I don't know whether that's got anything to do with it. I'm not sure if it's you can really rely on technicals when it comes down to statements and everything else, but it certainly appears that the momentum is starting to shift a little bit more. Not necessarily to the upside, but it's slowing anyway. That the downward momentum does seem to be slowing down here. So I don't know if
Yeah,
that's got
I
anything
guess
to
we're
do with it.
seeing a weaker greenback is probably
Yeah. So what happened overnight? I saw,
Trumpy, I think, again.
what's he done? Because I was looking yesterday, and I got a text from a friend who's in the euro, and I looked at the chart, and it was like, "Are you kidding me? That's gone crazy." I looked at I think I looked at gold as well at the time, and gold had gone crazy again yesterday.
Yep.
What did he do?
Mate,
He was meeting the Queen.
I don't know what he's done apart from saying that he's going to slap tariffs on Mexico. because they keep letting
But that was
their
last week.
immigrants. Was that last week? That's the
Yeah.
last I heard. And apart from the Meghan Markle thing, I haven't heard anything other than that. So I really don't know.
I mean, I was looking for. Oh, okay. Here we go. I was looking for some headline on it, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find why anything would be doing what it did against the dollar, and I just kept reading just about Trump, seeing the Queen, and it was pretty much that.
God knows what he did to her.
Well, I know that obviously
he
Harry's
walked in front of her
married.
last time.
Yeah, well, Harry's married to Meghan Markle, and there's a lot of pictures of Harry just standing back in a little a bit of disgust, and not really knowing where to put himself, because he's obviously got his his loyalty to his wife, but by the same token he's got to seem probably quite stately. So
yeah, I don't know what he's done, mate. As I say, he's probably walked in front of the Queen or on her toes or something.
yeah, and it's sent shockwaves throughout the dollar. But yeah, crazy moves anyway, mate. So that was the Aussie. So the Aussie hasn't sold off. Did it sell off against anything?
Look, my Aussie Kiwi trade is. Let me have a look at that. See how that's going at the moment. Aussie Kiwi. I don't think it's suffered any harm by the rate statement at this point. Here we go.
No, it's actually retracing again now, isn't it? Yeah, I've got a little setup now to the downside on Aussie Kiwi.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to stay in the trade. I can't see what's changed, frankly.
Let's have a quick look at it.
And I'm more than happy to stay where I am.
Aussie Kiwi. Let's just check this on
Yeah,
some
it did
levels.
come back at me a little bit. But
yeah, it looks right there, doesn't it?
Be okay.
It's trapped in between these two pivots. This is just quickly fib it up as well, and looks like this 50% line is a pretty solid level. We got a horizontal level of resistance there as well. I think this looks pretty good. Yeah, so you were in all the way up here, and it came back pretty hard, didn't it, before that announcement?
Yeah.
And it's now started to drop again. So Aussie Kiwi, I would have sold that off at the weekly pivot. I think that looks pretty good.
Let's hope so, mate. As I say, I'm happy to stay in it, and I can't see any reason, apart from really there is a technical reason. There's a double bottom and now two higher lows. So
let's have a look at that. Well, so
there is that.
Just give us some analysis on that, because you might see something slightly different.
All right. Let me pinch the screen then. So I'm on a 4-hour chart here, and I'll just go a little bit wider. So you see a double bottom here. You can see a higher low on this trade line or trend line, and you can see a further higher low. You can also see higher highs. So this is actually cycling to the upside.
Very good point.
So I can totally see why there'd be people wanting to buy here, but same time,
would you say
through the pivots and we're retesting them? So
would you say the level that we've come from would produce the first lower low, and that this might be the first lower high?
Could well be. This thing here really annoys me. I think we spoke about this last week.
Yeah, because I haven't got it.
Yeah, that's right. Not neither 99% of the world apparently, but IFS for whatever reason decided to do it that way. Anyway, yeah, look, totally. This could be the first lower high. We've certainly, well, have we? We could arguably say we've got a lower low, but yeah, it's kind of iffy, isn't it? Really.
Oh, you know what? I have got something on my chart. Is
what you got?
That same thing that you've got, is that on the 6th of May?
That is on the 31st of May.
Oh, that's strange. Have you got anything on the 6th?
On the 6th of May, which is about there somewhere. Oh, hang on. Why is it still telling me the same thing? Let me change tax here. 9th of May, 6th of May.
The 5th.
On changeover. Did you say 5th?
Yeah.
I've got a doji bar on the 6th on the changeover.
Oh, that's strange.
And on the 5th, I've got a little bit of selling bar.
Yeah, see on the oh yeah, 5th or the 6th. Yeah, it's right it's on the midnight bar for me. I've got a long-legged doji.
Yep.
I like it though, mate. I like this one for some more downside. It looks pretty good. You know,
yeah, look, bigger picture. You know, we've got a far bigger double top here than we've got a double bottom here.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
You know, and this is the lower high on that after a lower low.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's probably the stronger signal at the end of the day. I'd hesitate to call that a flag pattern on the double top, but it's certainly a retracement. And I don't know if I pull a fib on that. What do I see? Probably got your charts up, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, the fib on that's bang on 50. Bang on it.
Right.
That's off the double top.
I see that.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. That makes sense to me. So yeah,
Okay.
look, hopefully that continues on its merry way, mate. I'm at no risk on that. I've got stops at entry. I've got money in the bank. So yeah, not a bad start to the month.
Great
if you
stuff.
put that together, the euro also set up for me last night, so I'm in the long as well. And that one's also through profit levels. And again, I think I've got, I have stops are at entry.
Well done, mate.
And
so let's have a look at that one then. So actually,
trade, yeah.
Yeah. So let's have a look. Where was your entry? I gotcha.
You can see the little green trumpet there, or whatever it is.
I've just lost your. Yeah, lost your screen.
Have you got me?
Gotcha.
Okay, so just a nice, well, it's a trend line as well as a trade line. Trend line coming through here, and we got a break above the monthly pivot, a pullback to the monthly pivot. We had two nice high test bars sitting there, so that's just an ordinary old slingshot trade entry above that candle. Oh, look, I was a little bit conservative with my stop. I put my stop underneath the daily pivot. Whereas under most circumstances, it would be underneath the candle. So the reward on this is not as great as it could be, but it's still good. I mean, we're past entry there, stop there, 36 pips. We're still a bit better than 2 to 1, and that doesn't look like slowing down anytime soon. So
no, and you know what? The only thing I thought, because I looked at the euro pound as well after seeing that move, and it looked also to be quite a solid move on the euro pound. So I was looking at the euro potentially reacting off the back of the news in Germany that the first headline I read was Merkel's government is over. Now she's got a partner that stays in the coalition for now, it says. So I wonder whether this could be short lived.
Yeah, don't know, mate. All the signs are there that it could go, but funny things happen in this market at the moment. It's very,
they certainly
very
do.
difficult
Yeah,
to sustain a big run.
They absolutely do. So we got just looking at the news and data for the day. I don't know. We'll get to trades in a moment. If you've got any ideas for the day, you're obviously sort of kind of like in and running right now, so maybe not
I've
so
got another
important.
one as well that I will look at.
Okay, so this is the news for the day, and then we'll have a look at that. So we got retail sales year on year came down in the pound overnight. Not particularly positive, so that doesn't bode too well for the economy. So we got we were looking at a couple yesterday, weren't we? We were looking at a couple of releases yesterday, and so far we've got some weaker euro news in the bank. We've got now, did we have anything else overnight? ISM manufacturing came in weaker than expected, so again indicative of some slowing slowing growth in America, and none of the numbers were particularly good. Manufacturing prices started to move to the upside slightly, so that may put some upward pressure if there was other bits and pieces that were out there. Now, what did this guy say? Does this have some bearing on the move here? The FOMC member Bullard was speaking yesterday. So do we know what he said overnight? That was at 6:25. So that would suggest that the 9 o'clock bar on the dollar was the move. Let's just quickly check that. 9 o'clock bar on MT4 would have been, what's the date today? It's the 4th. So that was yesterday. And that is this bar here. It's already done its job by then. Maybe there was some interesting that that actually eased it back to the downside. I wonder if there was some idea of what was coming. In fact, the 8 o'clock, 8:30, wasn't it? It would have started to move. So yeah, this one here would have been Bullard starting to come out and say what he had to say. So obviously the FOMC member must have said something, which I will go and read up on and fill you in and let you know what that was.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, aside from that, mate, I don't know what else could have moved that. But considering all of them seem to move, I'm going to double check the dollar against against gold as well and see if that was the same time. Well, gold was already floating to the upside, actually, by the looks of this.
Yeah, it was just still powering on, mate.
It was powering on, yeah. A little extra bit of explosive moving to the upside. Same here. Let's just double check the indicators here. The indicators are starting to suggest that the move is starting to get a bit tired up here, bouncing off the daily pivot. But we are starting to get probably a little bit of a divergent play here. We have got this high here, which was the highest point. Attempted again, but started to drift back down again, and it really is starting to weaken a bit more significantly now. So this could be a little signal that the move is weakening. Now, the most important thing that people need to know about any divergence, because you get a lot of strategies on the internet which claim, you see this divergence and just enter the market. That's not really the best way to play it. Anything that you see in the market, whether it be a bar or an indicator which is showing divergence, or a group of indicators which are showing divergence, all they are telling you is that the trend is having a rest, and you need to have confirmation for a reversal in the pattern. So this won't give us anything just yet. And for gold to be a sell, then we need to take out this trend line probably here. And I'd love gold to sell off, actually. I think it is the trade probably. This trend line would need to be broken down here. We need to take out the daily pivot. I would suspect that's not price points. The price point is at this level here, so that may just create a lower high. A lower low, and coming back up and give us that lower high. But we'd really probably want to do really what you're most skilled at, and make sure that we've got something of a trend line break if we are going to trust a really good move to the downside. Because what could happen is the indicators just unwind, but price stays where it is, and that's what people need to be aware of, is that the indicators just give you a hint, but they don't tell you that the trend is going to change. It just says that there's a pause here, and a pause can lead to more upside, or it could lead to downside. So just be a little bit careful, anybody out there listening, trusting indicators on the face of them. That it doesn't really work like that.
Mate, I got a potential trade here. I'll pinch the screen.
Yeah, let's have a look.
It's the other one that I wanted to trade, and it's Euro Aussie on an hourly chart. And I sent out some advice to the guys on the what do they call that thing?
Broadcast group.
Broadcast group. That's the one. That's the word I was looking for. And look, I'm so keen to get long Euro Aussie. It's not funny. but the bloody thing set up short for me. And, oh, man, it's just a pain. Again, we've got, if I go to the 4-hour chart, you can see how I've just continued to try to get into this long. And this is one that failed last week, wasn't it? Yeah. And we got the timing wrong. We set another entry on this yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. That expired. And I'm just desperate to find another one. I really just can't see it, and I can't justify going long here because I can't see it. But now if I go to the hourly chart, it's set up as a potential false break of this trend line short. So I'm somewhat, in fact, very much against my my bias. I think I'm forced to trade this short. Okay, I'm going to have to do it. I'll get rid of that. Look, this is only going to be a very small risk in terms of stake because it's way against what I want to do. But it's there, so I have to take it. So let's go in at just like half a lot, something like that. That will do. And it'll be a pending order. It'll be a sell stop. The entry level will be at, why am I seeing that? There it is. 1.6115. 1.6115 will be the entry. The stop loss will be above that bar at 1.6139. 1.6139. So we've got a 24 pip stop. And that will do. We'll place that order. Now, entry's just under here, as I said. I don't know why I can't see that over here. Maybe I've got the wrong color on it, something. Okay, this is important. We've got just enough. What have we got? 25 pips. We've got just enough. I'm not going to worry about the weekly pivot. So I'm going to take first profit at 10 pips. So I'll put that there. First profit is there at 10 pips. And target, and this will only be a short trade. Target will be pretty much the monthly pivot, one would think. Yeah, that's better than 1-to-1, so that'll do. The monthly pivot's at 160.80. We'll make our take profit level 160.78. Sorry, 82. No, I went the wrong way. 160.82, which is there. Okay. Now, I'm extremely ambitious here that when we do get here, we're going to get a reversal bar and I'm going to trade this in the opposite direction, okay? So that's the plan. We're going short to here and then looking for a long. Now, you will note that we're coming off this resistance level, which is clear. There's no two ways about it. It's clear. And we've broken below the trend line. Just hang on a sec, guys. I'll turn that off. There we go. Sorry about that. So we've got that resistance trend line. We've broken it. We've come back below it, and we've retested it. That's the horizontal level, and the trend line's exactly the same. So it's a potential false break of both, but it's also, if you have a look at this little area here, it's also pretty much a boxy range. So it's probably the top of that range, and we're bouncing off the top of it. So, yeah, despite my absolute bias to the upside this cross, I can't find any setup that suggests I can go long yet, but I do see that one that I can go short, and I can get with that. I can get with a fall here to the monthly pivot where we will still have a higher low, and if that's the case, that's where I'll be looking to go long for the third time in probably about 3 or 4 days. So there you go, mate. There's the trade. I'm not happy that I have to go short this, but I can see where there's a little trade there.
So Euro Aussie is where you're looking.
Short on the hourly.
Short on the hourly. Okay, let's have a quick look. I see, and you're short. You say you're short around about 161.16?
The entry level is 15, I think. 161.15.
Yeah, I got it.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting chart that, isn't it? Okay, so you're short on the Euro Aussie. You want to go long ultimately, but yeah, I see a bit of a lower high on that daily, which would suggest that. Okay, that's cool. Well, I see the gold is still pushing to the upside, actually trying to break out to the upside now. The Federal Reserve, it was all about LIBOR.
Okay.
Which is
Swissy.
no, it was the interbank exchange rate. LIBOR, when we had the big
Yep.
LIBOR scandal. But I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm not, LIBOR is not really something that you hear that much about. I only heard about it when we had that scandal when Barclays was fraudulently skewing the borrowing cost between them and I'm not sure who else. So I'm not that up on LIBOR, and I don't know why that would necessarily move the market. I suppose it is a currency specific metric, but yeah.
But I always associate it with the Swissy because they call it the Swiss LIBOR rate.
Yeah, so this is I'll relating to our super very
It's short-term interest rates, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, it's so just to give everybody the definition, the LIBOR is the London Interbank offered rate, and it's an interest rate average calculated from estimates submitted by the leading banks in London. Each bank estimates what it would be charged were it to borrow from the other banks. The resulting rate is usually abbreviated to LIBOR. LIBOR, or more officially to ICE. It was formerly known as da-da-da, that doesn't really matter. LIBOR rates are calculated for 5 currencies and 7 borrowing periods ranging from overnight to 1 year and are published each business day by Reuters. Many financial institutions, mortgage lenders and credit card agencies set their own rates relative to it. At least $350 trillion in derivatives and other financial products are tied to LIBOR. So I suppose it is quite significant. And then it goes on to say in June 2012, multiple criminal settlements by Barclays Bank revealed significant frauds and collusion by member banks connecting to the LIBOR rate submissions, leading to the LIBOR scandal. And the BBA says that it would transfer overnight to LIBOR would transfer oversight of LIBOR to UK regulators as proposed by the FSA, the Financial Services Authority, managing director, independent. So that seems to be some of that's just a little bit of the background, and the kind of opening gambit from the chair was the vice chair was, since 2014 the official sector was publicly warned that LIBOR could become unstable. Not everyone paid attention to those warnings, but the risks that we pointed to have materialized. The UK Financial Conduct Authority has intervened to preserve LIBOR stability only through the end of 2021. Despite that development, some continue to speculate that LIBOR can remain in production indefinitely. My key message to you today is that you should take warning seriously. Clarity on the exact timing of the nature of LIBOR stop is still to come, but the regulator of LIBOR has said that it is a matter of how LIBOR will end rather than if, and it is hard to see how one could be clearer than that. Now, I don't know why that's significant. As I say, why are they so worried that LIBOR remains? That I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they're so concerned about that, and that's where you probably have to understand more about the effect of LIBOR to be able to take the weight of the statement away. And I don't know if you get any clarity from that, but I certainly don't.
No, mate, sorry, can't help you there.
Well, that seemed to have an effect anyway. So we're losing LIBOR, and that seemed to have some sort of effect. I wonder what that would have done to some of the banks overnight or this morning. I wonder what that's doing to some of the banks. So I wonder whether that's going to have any effect on some of the banks, which I will double check. But I don't. Aside from that, I don't know how we can use that in our trading. Well, in our trading, full stop. I don't know how we would use that in our trading. Really.
Yeah, no, it's not pushing my buttons, I don't think.
Well, here's maybe this is going to be one of those cases where ignorance is bliss, mate. I don't know. Well, this is Barclays Bank. This is the one of the protagonists of, if you like, of that LIBOR scenario. Let me just double check what we got here. That's on the chart. Candlesticks, basic bars. Let's go with the dailies. Yeah, you see, Barclays looks like it's a fairly stable area there. This is the only way that I could, that would suggest to me that anything is happening. If that LIBOR thing would be of any interest. If we look at the banks, aside from that, I don't know the significance. So I suppose we don't really have an opportunity to trade that with any kind of confidence. Now looking from the FTSE, now this is delayed by 15 minutes, so we'll have to look at that. But do you want me to just quickly run the FTSE through, mate?
Mate, I do. You're in a trade. You're still in it, or
No,
no?
yeah. So the plan with the FTSE was to come out of the weekly pivot, and that's exactly what I did.
Cool, well done.
So yeah, it worked out well. I have to say, I'm really pleased. Well, fairly pleased with the exit. I came out, within 10 pips of the high, which is pretty good. What I'm not too pleased about is my initial entry. I know where the mistake was made, and it really does need to be properly noted down, because my entry was pretty dismal, and it actually cost me quite a lot in profit, really, because I could have entered. Well, I mean, I could have entered here, but my entry price, the very, very worst that I should have got, was along this level. That's the worst I should have got. But the best I should have got, it was really down here. I mean, when we were discussing this in the show, I was saying that 71.75, sorry, 70.75, if that was taken, then the market was likely to go to the upside, and I probably should have just re-entered it, and just had two positions on. But I must have been a bit fuzzy yesterday, because it took me a while to kind of figure out that that should have been the case, because as you know, I entered as we were discussing it in the morning, and I was just quite happy with the long, and I think my entry was something like, it was here. So I had to kind of like sit all the way through this and all the way through this, and then eventually, yes, I did get my profits at this particular point. Now, since then, the market did reject the weekly pivot, and it started to move back to the downside. I have to say, I would have a slight, very, very slight um, bias still for the upside, still to the long side. Now, it's very, very difficult to hold on to trades when the market is so bearish. Very difficult to hold on to longer term uptrends when the market is so bearish. But you can see that that it's still managing to stay above this particular level here. We got the daily pivot here. There was this gap that provided some resistance when it came up there, and it's held and it's gone. So this would be the area that still looks like a decent long for me. Now, what that suggests to me is that we could actually get ourselves up to the monthly pivot. I'm a little bit reluctant to get in, I have to say, man. I don't know. I haven't got a really solid reason, except for the news and data still doesn't really excite me. So I just wonder whether it could be quite a painful session. But I quite like it down here. I quite like this price for some upside. But bucking the trend when I'm looking for a relief rally on the first time of asking is different to then asking the market to really start to pick up some confidence. You know, it's attempted once, pick up some confidence here and start moving forward when I don't really have a catalyst in sight. So that's why I'm not entering to the upside.
You got your little inverted head and shoulders there, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? There are some technical reasons that the long looks pretty good here, and as I say, I do like it. And if I had to pick a trade here, then it would be moving up. And maybe I should just take the trade and leave it at that. But it's a little bit no man's land as well here. I mean, there's still there'd still be a pretty good grab. Moving to the upside here, still 50 to 70 pips to the upside, because I'll be looking for the monthly pivot now, and this trend line along here. But as I say, I'm not sure what the catalyst is. I think I'm going to miss this one. I've got a feeling that it might be just one of those that I leave and don't trade. But I am tempted, I have to say.
Yeah, there's a bit of that going on, mate. Euro Aussie, I was tempted to go long and long and long and long, and I still am. But it's just telling me not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's have a look at. we had a quick look at the data releases, but let's see what those data releases are suggesting now. What could move it today? Don't have a lot, mate.
Still got the RBA governor to have a chat. I think they're having dinner tonight, the board of the RBA.
Yeah.
So he's going to be questioned. I'm not sure by whom, apparently. That could still have some impact, because really the statement wasn't terribly, I don't know, decisive in any way. It was.
Yeah.
There's one little sentence there I thought was a bit, a little bit dovish, but again, you have to read between the lines, and I just don't know. I don't think there's anything much there, to be honest.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think the other thing is that you know, the way that the market can move is that you have a day where there's a little bit of movement all over the place, but after that, things can just rest up a little bit. Spanish unemployment has come out better than expected. Italian monthly unemployment is due very, very soon, in around about 40 minutes. And the Italian as well, the CPI flash estimate year on year from the Eurozone as well is due, with core CPI flash estimate due. So these two are going to be important numbers, I would say, for the Euro. And that will obviously affect your trade as well, actually.
Yep.
And as you say, yeah, we got the RBA low speaking later on. I don't see how any of this is going to affect the FTSE. Fed Chair Powell speaking later, that's different. That may well affect the FTSE, and that might suggest that we're probably looking for some meandering around here. Well, I don't know. He's finding some support down here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we meander around here for the first couple of hours of the day, and then just before we start to move into the American Open, if it's still here, maybe that's the time that I may well take a trade. But it feels like a bit of an intraday trade rather than you know, looking for a definite swing. That would be sparked from an intraday trade, and that's, to a degree, that's my problem with it. Because the swing on this, when I look at the daily chart, we had I'll just change my wrong chart. Here we go. So this is the daily chart on the FTSE 100, and I was looking at this as the area that would need to hold, and it did. You know, it held out pretty well so far. Still on the neckline, still of interest, I think, down here for some upside, and it's possible that we do see a swing right the way back up to this particular area here. So I'm more interested in upside than downside here. You know, I'm not interested in the sell-off. Even when it came up to where it came yesterday, there was a chance to go short, but that's just a little bit too shallow. You know, it doesn't look like there's enough run up there to kind of like get down and through without any specific data. You know, yes, it can crash down from these lower levels, but really it's more likely to crash down through that to that particular area if there's some catalyst, and I don't see what that is. So with a lack of bearish catalyst, with a lack of downside, then I have to say the upside looks a lot more attractive to me. And it's just where it goes to.
Yeah, maybe you're just going to stay in that little pocket there for a bit.
This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. We got some fibs up here. I think this this area here looks the most interesting, which we didn't reach yesterday. That is 72.13, 72.13, 72.18, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see us up there at some point between now and Friday. So it is tempting, but it's just you're kind of battling the trend here. And actually, as I speak, the market is putting in some is putting in a little bit of a grab to the upside here, but. I think I'm so interested now, but it is, it's attempting to kind of move higher. It's just maybe trying to put in some sort of hammer here. So picking up some momentum now. That 72.13 would run in conjunction with this monthly pivot. So I think the monthly pivot's the target here. And the question is, where's the entry? And maybe if it dips down again to the daily pivot, I may well take it. Talk to me about this, mate. Is this a pattern that excites you?
The last three?
More the last two. The current one and this one here. Push to the downside. Entry above this one. Would that be of any interest to you?
Yeah, definitely, but not on. Well, I'll tell you why. The three candles prior to the current candle,
yeah,
are one of mine. So if you were to draw the trade line or the trend line, as you call it, as you want it, from the top down through the high test bar, you've got an approach of a resistance trade line and a pullback away from it. So that's a genuine slingshot scenario. Yeah.
Yeah. So just something above here.
Yeah, directly above there would be reasonable. Of course, you're trading at resistance, which makes it tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks good though, doesn't it?
You're seeing it. You're seeing a double bounce off the daily pivot. Yeah.
So I'm not going to take it because it's probably needed to take it when we would initially talk about it. But I certainly would. If anybody's watching this, I would certainly say, I'm comfortable to say that that there is a trade up here and a grab. And if you are to enter this with a classic entry, then you've got potentially 54, 57 pips for a 35. 33, something like that, pip stop loss. So you could get nearer 2-1 on that particular trade if anybody's interested in that. But I do quite like it. It looks like we're getting some sort of kind of train tracks reversal attempting to form. We've still got another 5 minutes to go with that. We're just going to quickly check the barometers here as well and see what we have. Let me just double check the barometers on this. I mean, saying I'm going to ignore it. If this comes all the way back down here, I may well take this trade. Just double checking. It's not a great start, actually. Looking at this, the 25% of stocks are the only ones to the upside here. We have many that are moving downside. Looks like we're just flipping around a little bit. So 31 have just jumped to the upside. Well, not just. This is a 15-minute delay. 70% of stocks that means, or around about there, are downside. Now we talked about LIBOR and whether that's paying any part. Barclays are slightly in positive territory. Royal Bank of Scotland also in positive territory, and I wouldn't be surprised if HSBC, that sits in positive territory as well. So the banks are actually doing okay this morning. Probably the banks are leading us to the upside. Fresnillo, gold stocks. Anybody interested in trading gold, but not so keen on taking the metal. This is Fresnillo, which has had a boost to the upside. Really interesting. 31st. and the third, and currently the current bar is also moving higher. So when you consider this, you've really got
I think
one.
we're on my chart, mate. I'm just
Oh, sorry,
watching
buddy.
the. That's right.
Here we go. This is Fresno. So this is a gold stock. So as I say, if you didn't really want to take the gold stuff, then you might want to trade a stock instead. And Fresnillo has really been boosting up for the last few days here. And if we compare that to gold, then what we've got is so tempted to get into this long. I don't know if I should maybe if I should pass on it. I don't feel like I should really. Now this is gold. So if we compared gold on a daily chart, it moved one day before, then started to move to the upside. So I think Fresnillo would have been a good trade for anybody that would have preferred to look at stocks rather than the actual commodity itself. I am just going to have a look at this trade. I'm really tempted to get into the FTSE here. Let me see what I've got. I'm just looking at when I look at this, I've got to look at these shorter term time frames because we're in a little bit of a tighter range. Let's just have a look at this on a minute chart here. Let's see anything on the 5. Do you know what I'm going to do, mate? I am going to pass on this, but the only reason I'm going to pass on it is because there are times that I think moves in the market are a lesson rather than a money-making opportunity. This is not the easiest opportunity by any stretch. Now, I don't mind not easy, but there is I think, pronounced lack of liquidity here, and that's my slight issue. Now I could be wrong, and what we're seeing is this is a 1 minute chart here, bouncing off a trend line, and well, not quite bouncing, but pretty close to a trend line, and may well move to the upside. My suspicion is that that we remain a little bit trapped before the US market. Now that's just my suspicion. So I think this might be one of those occasions that that rather than taking a trade and taking a trade and maybe being caught, or not taking a trade and being annoyed myself that I don't take it, I think I use this one just for a little bit of a lesson in what happens with markets. And this is really good exercise for most people, because what most people do, and this is just a little bit of a hint, I suppose, for people. What a lot of people do, maybe not most people, but what a lot of people do is that they will look at a chart like this and they'll go, right, my strategy is to trade the Fibonacci with a reversal bar. And they'll take the high and they'll take the low, and they'll look back at it and go, right, okay, so it worked out there. Great. Now I'm going to take the high there, and I'm going to take the low there, and it worked out there. Great. And they'll find another opportunity. They'll look back here, and they'll take a low point there. Let's take that fib, take the reversal bar, worked out there. That's all well and good, but actually the way you're much better to learn is by looking at trades live. So we'll look at this trade. I'll look at this trade live, and I'll analyze it live and see what would have been the signal that I could have taken. So my prediction for this is that this market is going to go to somewhere around about this level here. That's what I'm looking at. Inverted head and shoulders looks good. There was a little minute chart opportunity, and I will watch this live and see whether there were signs and signals or what produced the real signal. So I'll wait till there's an explosion to the upside and what would have provided the information to give me that explosion. So rather than just taking my eyes off the chart, because I'm not going to trade it, I'm going to use it as a little training exercise.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean,
And you know what? It is so hard, in my opinion, to trade intraday in the last, not sure how long, maybe 2-3 months, because of this liquidity issue. It is just getting worse and worse and worse.
yeah.
I've got the euro down to 41 now on an ATR. That's just horrendous.
Oh, really?
Mm.
So just
If I haven't
anybody that's
checked,
new to trading, ATR is your average true range, and for the euro to be only trading at 40 pips a day, that's a daily, right?
yeah, mate. Yep.
Yeah. To only be trading at 40 pips a day is quite something. You know, that's very, very low, which is suggesting that there's just a lack of confidence or liquidity, and whatever else. FTSE 100 is currently looking at 50-50 on the market breadth, which is actually pretty positive. So yeah, what Jeff's saying is that's kind of unusual, because where were we before, mate? It was nowhere near there before, was it?
ATR on the euro over, let's say, a 5-year period is about 81. And even that's down, when I started trading, the ATR on the euro was about 100, 110. And it's just continued to decline and decline and decline and decline. It's actually up a little bit this month. When I say this month, the previous month of trading, so the previous 4 weeks of trading, it's actually now at 47. But it makes it really difficult to get any money inside a day out of that.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really does.
yeah.
You've got to pick the absolute top and the absolute bottom to get any money out of it. It's really hard. So that's why I haven't been taking too many trades, mate. To be fair,
Yeah,
I,
well,
I understand it, and I'm very, very cautious of it and very, very aware of it.
yeah, yeah, it just doesn't seem to go anywhere.
Yeah, 4 hours daily, and now I'm even out to weeklies, for goodness sake.
What,
I've
to try
changed
and
that trade, by the way, on the pound.
you've changed it?
Yep.
Oh, let's have a quick look.
We'll get to that. And then I better go around the grounds, I suppose, on the
Oh yeah,
30-minute chart.
you have the screen, yeah.
And you wanted to have a chat about Bitcoin as well, yeah?
Oh yes, yes. Let's have a look at that as well.
All right. With any luck, you can see my screen, and you can see the pound weekly chart. I think you just lost my screen again.
Let's have a look.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I've got the blue circle of death here now, man. Anything could happen.
Okay. If you pop out, mate, don't worry about it.
Absolutely anything could happen. I don't know whether I should talk over a black screen, but I
No.
will, because it's only levels.
Well, I can bring up on my chart.
Yeah, bring up your pound US dollar
We're probably going to be
weekly.
fairly close to closing up anyway, mate. It depends what you've got, but let's see what you. Yeah, let's have a look at this. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, yeah, let's have a look. Let's talk about this. So the dollar has suffered against all of them, including the pound. And what have you got with the pound?
Okay, so instead of trading the previous week's bar, I'm now trading last week's bar. So I actually dropped my entry to above last week's bar, and I've got my stop below last week's bar.
So last week's bar, you got a stop below there. You got an entry on this?
My entry level is at 1.2748.
1.27, 1.27. Okay.
My stop loss is at 1. Oh, sorry. I don't know what it is. I've only got it in pips.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, you're trading the bar. Yeah, yeah.
Let's see if I can get the level. The level is at 1.2557.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's the stop,
Okay.
which means a risk of 190 pips. And first take profits will be at 1.2865.
1.2.
Hang on,
Yeah.
that's not right. That's not right. It's way better than that. It actually should be Yeah, should be at 1.3035.
1.3035. 1.3. Yeah, I gotcha. About there.
Okay. Yeah. TP2
Yeah.
is at is at 1.3295.
Right about there. Yep.
And the rest, you can let go to about $1.60 or something.
Oh
Something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, well, I suppose with the rest you just trail it, right? I mean,
You
just
do.
kind of, yeah.
Well, I don't know that I'll even trail it. I just set the target and walk away. And I think that target needs to be around about 1 point. Let me go with 1.4290.
1.4290. So all the way.
Now, by that time, if that would be way past Christmas time, probably, if that ever
Yeah.
happened,
Yeah.
we would look for a retest of a trend line and then look to trade it again. But yeah, look, that's extremely ambitious, of course, but the chart's telling me it's a possibility. So, well, there's a possibility, and I think that's about a 1,600 pip for less than 200 pips. So it'd be a
Oh man,
decent trade.
that would be incredible, wouldn't it? That would be incredible.
Yep, be cool.
All right, so we've readjusted the pound trade. We're still interested in the long on the pound, and they are the levels for that.
Okay, quickly around the grounds.
Yeah.
Okay, Aussie Kiwi, we are in, as we know. There's absolutely nothing to do here. We're completely in no man's land in terms of being able to trade, but you can see that we're having a little bit of a battle here. It's like a bit of a ping pong match, weekly pivot to daily pivot. The Aussie, my goodness me, what on earth is it doing, still hovering around 70 cents? I don't know, but it is. And there's some signs that it may be about to turn here, but no trade, of course, at this point. The bull fans, they'd be cock a hoop, I would imagine, if they'd traded this bar here. They'd be going pretty well.
Oh,
But
we've seen your
again,
screen, are we?
oh, are we?
No, we're
No.
not. No. When you say this bar, Aussie, which are you on the hourly or?
I'm on the 30-minute, mate.
30-minute, okay. Yeah.
So it's starting to look a little bit toppy right there. But that said, if you look at the daily pivot test today, it certainly showed that it's willing to go higher. And
Yeah. I'll tell
the
you what,
news is
actually,
trying to
that
stop that a bit.
looks. I don't know what strategy that would be, but that daily pivot stepping to the upside, weekly pivot stepping to the upside. Nice hammer or low test bar there. There's an entry there. That would have been a nice little intraday trade there, wouldn't it? What we got?
Yeah, tough to trade at that time though, because you're going into the news.
Yeah.
And look, if you had it nice and safe before the news, and you get 1-to-1 before the news, so yeah, why not? I don't know that the wave rider guys will be able to take that because their super trend would be still red, I would imagine.
Maybe an hourly wave
Maybe,
rider, possibly.
maybe. I don't know exactly how that works, but yep.
Yeah.
Potential. So no way I could trade this long right now. In fact, I'm not interested in trading it long at all. But what will get me interested in a short? Well, you can see there's a potential double top there. We need to get price down to around about, I don't know, 69.70, and then retrace back to pretty much where it is now and put in a lower high. And then I'd get interested in the short, but there's really nothing there of interest right now. Aussie yen is one that I am interested in, mate. And if you go to the 4-hour chart, I think it is. Yep.
The Aussie yen. Okay, Aussie yen. Always like this one. On
Now,
the 4 hour,
4-hour
yeah.
chart.
Yep.
We've got a high at the 20th of the 5th. The high on the 20th of the 5th.
The high of the 20th of the 5th. So yeah, so that would be there.
You want a trend line going through there and through the 27th of the 5th.
Up here.
I can't see your chart, mate, because in fact your chart's not even on the broadcast.
How's that?
I don't know yet. This is this platform, man.
Oh, you got that one?
There you go. Yeah, got your chart now. Okay.
Yep.
So you can see that you've got a potential for a false break, which occurred. We got the false break around about those pivot areas. There's a weekly pivot and there's a daily pivot there, crossover. And now we've come down below what is now the daily and weekly pivot. We're absolutely hammering those at the moment and can't get through them. And we're just about to hit the backside of that trend line. If we hit the backside of that trend line, I'll be certainly looking for shorts at that point.
Right.
The only problem is it looks to be so out of whack and overextended, this cross, that it's just hard to believe that it's going to keep falling. But there's nothing but really blue sky underneath it for quite some distance.
Yeah.
So,
what were our?
I think add my bias into that, and we seem to be in risk-off mentality. I think I've just got to go with it, I think.
Yeah, dollar yen, 52%. So actually, the yen seems to be a little bit weaker by the looks of things this month. So maybe some Aussie yen upside has a greater probability.
Well, that's fine. Yep, don't have a problem with that. But I'll still be looking for shorts at some stage. That's for sure.
I suppose it's about price, isn't it? Ultimately.
At the end of the day, mate, that's where we're all at. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess finally, two to go. Euro US dollar on the. Well, we'll start with the 4-hour chart, which is where I seem to be trading these days.
Yeah.
For reasons we have discussed. You can see that, well, we discussed this earlier, didn't we, the trade? So there's no need to go back through that. But I've got the top of a range at around about the 112. In fact, the high of the third last bar.
The high of the third last bar.
The big high test.
Yeah,
bar.
yeah.
That's the absolute top of my range there.
Yes. So and tucking back down there on 4 hours, would that encourage you to look for a short?
Well, it would. I don't know that I want to trade against myself though at the moment where we are. I'm happy just to leave this run because maybe on a 30-minute trade, I could look for that, but I don't think so on the 4-hour because I expect that there'll be a retracement maybe back to the 112.20 mark, which was my first take profit area actually.
Right.
So. And it's also today's daily pivot. So I'd be willing to trade that down there on a 30-minute chart if it does actually set up. Let me see if I can actually envisage that. Look, not really. It's got a lot of work to do. It's got to come down to test the lows of the day and then pull back off them, give me the lower high, and then I could go. But yeah, it's a lot of work to do there, that's for sure. And really, that's about it. The Euro Aussie, we've spoken about. That's a trade that we're in. Or sorry, it's an order that I've got. We're not in that trade yet. And at the moment, price is doing SFA. So let's talk Bitcoin, mate.
Yeah, let's have a quick chat on Bitcoin. So somebody was not a friend of mine necessarily, but somebody was talking to me about Bitcoin, that they were in Bitcoin and they've had a huge run. And I said to them, look, This is fantastic, but what I do know about markets is that one period to the next can cause some significant moves, and I was saying to them to lock some profit in, because Bitcoin has obviously had an amazing run to the upside over the last month. This is the last month, but in fact last 2 months really. A huge pickup in the interest of buying Bitcoin. Now there is a level here, and I think that there are probably going to be some bulls that are interested in getting this. But I was saying, you got to be a little bit careful, because yes, we've had an explosive move to the upside, but the way Bitcoin moves, and I think this is case in point, is now this bar is probably a little bit more significant because of the shoot to the stars and then the significant drop right back down. Probably 50% of the move to the upside was retraced in the same month, and then we start to drift. And this is the thing: Bitcoin can be vicious. In fact, there's very few bars on this monthly chart, which is very, very unusual, which aren't vicious. This looks more like a 1 minute chart than a monthly chart. So so they have to be. So I said, you've got to lock in some profits and just be a little bit cautious, because we've ended one period, and what can happen is when a new period starts, that's when the retracements can be a bit more significant, especially when you have such an explosive move. So yes, there are going to be people that are getting in here, and I suppose this is a buying opportunity with Bitcoin. And
the interesting part is, as you're saying, a lot of the people who are trading Bitcoin have no idea about trading. So,
no,
all they've seen, perhaps if they got in the market at the right time, is an incredible flourish to the upside.
yes,
and then they've experienced the woes, if they didn't get out, of the very, very quick downside as well. But if there's a lesson at all to be learned, it's in that very phase.
yes, absolutely.
Don't keep going up.
No, absolutely, and it's no different to the trade I saw yesterday with the FTSE. The reason that the trade was so interesting to me is that we had a start of the week and effectively the start of the month as well. So that increases the probability that we get a move in the opposite direction. There does tend to be a difference in bias from one period to the next, no matter what that period is. And I think when we look at Bitcoin, is beautifully illustrated when we consider that this here was the very this is the very first month. Sorry, it's the very last month of 2017, and then the very next month, the first month of 2018, boom, straight to the downside, and it's continued in that particular vein. So one period to the next really did cause Bitcoin to change significantly, and that's what we have right now. So I'd be looking for Bitcoin to retrace, and maybe this is as far as it's gone. It's that vicious and volatile that it can retrace everything that you need to see in a day or two, and that's probably where we're at. So now Bitcoin is at a level of support, and that would suggest that it would probably get a boost back to the upside. But I'd be a little bit cautious with trading Bitcoin at these lofty levels. Now, just very, very quickly, this is what I'm talking about with learning on the FTSE 100. This is a really, really good lesson. Now, from this point, this is where I think the FTSE is about to explode now to the upside. And where are we at? I'm going to find my FTSE chart for you guys. Here we go. Right now, I think we're about to explode to the upside. And within the next few minutes as well. What we've really had is a decent battle going on. Now, I was using the minute chart here, so this point here is where the FTSE has come from. Now, don't be too surprised to see in the next few minutes that we see the FTSE end up in this particular area. Now, again, we've just been talking about periods, and the period is coming into the top of the hour. So as the FTSE gets to the top of the hour, it's is now attempting to put in some highs and probably trying to establish its direction. And that's exactly what it's now doing. So really, I suppose this isn't just for scalping. This is a lesson that you can learn from a very, very short period. But this would be a scalper's chart right now, because we are really in quite a low phase of the move. So we are looking for this particular area to be touched. Now that would have grabbed anybody that was scalping this a good looks like 18 to 20 pips. It might if it takes its way up here. I'm just going to bring this in on a chart that gives us pivots as well, just so we can see where the potential resistance might lie. Yeah, I mean the weekly pivot now looks like a pretty good grab. So looks like from this point to this point, 30 pips. Now you wouldn't have your stops at the lows, and the reason we wouldn't have our stops at the lows is because it became a scalper's trade. So we were looking at this on a 1-minute chart, and the 1-minute chart was telling us that this particular trend line along here was seen, broken, and retested. Now this, I don't know whether you necessarily agree with this, mate, but so we're aiming all the way up here. But this here is the bar. It was a breakdown and a break back up again, and that was the bar. So that was the trigger. Now that means that if you're going to enter something like that you have effectively got 5 pips. Now you're already 3 to 1 to the upside, but you're really looking at this lofty target up here being the absolute target. Now you'd want to make sure that got there in the next 8 minutes, because after the 8 minutes is done, then we enter a new period of the hour, and
What's
on
that one, mate? Sorry,
I beg your pardon.
Is that the 1-minute chart? Is it?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So and it's a really, really good chart for learning a lesson, the 1-minute chart. And what people have to recognize about the 1-minute chart is that everything is time frame specific. You can't trade a 1-minute chart when the FTSE 100 is moving on a daily. And I'll probably have to explain that in more detail, on another time. But there's times where the 1-minute chart is relevant, and there's times where the 1-minute chart is not relevant. And the trick to any of this about timing correlation is that you need to know the state of the pattern and the state of the market in correlation to time frames. You've got to kind of understand how these time frames work, and the 1-minute chart was the one I was looking at, because this is a really good environment for a 1-minute chart, but it's not always the case. You can't trade on a 1-minute chart, as I say, when the FTSE 100 is really kind of motoring on a daily. So if you've got this daily chart, for example, and and things start to come up into this area, then because there is already some form of support and resistance at this point, the 1-minute chart is absolutely useless. But when we start to move down into these areas, and we see some turning around on a shorter term time frame, i.e. the hourly, then we can start thinking about the 1-minute chart. We can think about the 5-minute and the 1-minute chart, and that is that's the chart that is currently providing some form of profit for anybody that's trading it. And as I say, that would have been a decent trade. But this is one of those ones that you learn from. Now I'm not keen on trading the 1-minute chart, but I think for learning, it's a fantastic chart to kind of like have a look at and see what's happening, because this is a chart's a chart. It's all fractal. So what we've got here is the same sort of thing as we just saw on the daily. We got some pooling here where we're not really sure what's going on. The buyers and sellers are pretty much having their dance together, and they're in absolute equilibrium. Market breaks down, market breaks back up again, gives us a signal, and it starts to explode to the upside. Now, as I say, you got to be careful. The next 5 minutes is quite key with this, because the hourly is about to close up. But there's 2 potential opportunities now. Either we see this go all the way to our weekly pivot in the next 5 minutes, which is more than possible, or we see it pull back into this area, and those traders that have missed out on this move will be encouraged to get in. So my bias here is from the FTSE, but really the information has really all come from this 1 minute chart, and it's probably not really that well described, mate. You almost need a longer period of time on this stuff, really.
Yeah, I think they should be getting that, mate. It's fairly clear, but by all means, let's spend some more time on it at another time. Too easy.
Yeah, we'll do that. But I think that the real key takeaway is that this is all about learning. This is all about sort of like using the charts for learning. It's not all about trading. Sometimes it's just about learning.
Yeah, very much so.
And I think this is a really good one. This is a really good one to watch for some live action. Now, the other thing about this is that we are, we've got to consider what is moving. Was there a catalyst for this? Now, the catalyst in my mind is this. Construction PMI from the UK. So we're only half an hour from that. So now, there's no guarantee that it's going to move just before the top of the hour. There's no guarantee when it's going to move, but this does tell you that there's something due, and there are going to be some positions that are going to be put into the market. People are going to start taking a position in it, and that's exactly what they're doing. To my mind, as I say, that if somebody could make the argument that it could happen between 9 and 9:30, and I would completely accept that. But when the chart is telling you it's ready to go, then that does suggest that that the positioning is happening just that little bit earlier. And I would suspect that we probably get to this point, and in the next 30 minutes, we're much more likely to drift back down again than break through. But it's possible that it does break through. But we're around about 2 minutes away, and only 15 pips away from what could be a potential target here. But yeah, just using your charts for learning is sometimes a really, really good idea.
You know what's another good idea?
What's that, mate?
Dinner time.
Dinner time.
Dinner
Yeah,
time.
is it time to eat?
Yeah, getting close. Well, certainly the dog is dolphining me. He's telling me that he needs to be fed, and he needs to be fed very, very soon. Otherwise, he's going to eat my leg.
No worries, mate. All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered what we need to cover, and let's come back same trade time, same trade channel tomorrow, and see if we can continue to hopefully aid people. Now, I'm just going to check if there's any questions out there before we do shoot off.
Don't think so. I think we're a bit light on today.
Bit light. Okay. All right. Well, let's bid ourselves bon bouche then.
Consider it done, mate. You've got the night off. I've got one more show to do, and then I think I might have a wine after that.
Oh yeah, enjoy yourself, mate. Enjoy yourself.
I can only have one wine because I'm on this bloody keto thing.
Are you? You're on that as well now, are you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, when did that happen?
Is Paul still on that?
He came off the wagon a little bit in Singapore, but I'm sure he'll be back on it now he's at home.
Yeah. Actually, he's in hospital all day tomorrow, isn't he? He's got the baby.
Oh yeah, he has. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going okay. I've lost 4 kilos in 2 weeks.
Wow, well done, mate.
Yeah, it's hard, mate.
What? Just pure protein, is it?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Protein and fat.
You know what blood group you are?
No carbs. Yeah, Royal.
Royal.
No, I do know. Well, it's written down somewhere. I think I'm AB.
Oh, you're AB. Okay, you're not in bad shape then, because keto wouldn't be so good for somebody that's blood group A, because they really their genes are linked to gatherers, and they really should be eating fruit and vegetables more than meat. Blood group O, all over it. They are the meat eaters. They are the hunters. I think AB have got the best of both worlds.
Oh, there you go.
So you're in good shape. Yeah, yeah, you're all right, mate. All right, dude. You get yourself off. Go and get yourself a nice burger without the bun, and and I will see you in the morning.
All right, mate. Happy days. Catch you then.
You too, mate. See you later. Bye.